And welcome to the public. I'd like to remind you all that this meeting is live on the Council's YouTube channel. Before we move into this afternoon's proceedings, there are a few housekeeping matters that I'd like to bring to members' attention. One, I'd like to remind members and officers to stand when they are speaking in the chamber. Two, can I please remind members that any speeches must be limited to 3 minutes and directed to the item or question under discussion. There will be an exception to this when the Leader of Council lays the budget, and associated speeches shall be limited to a maximum of 6 minutes, though I will be reasonable in the use of my discretion in order to enable a proper debate on the budget. Members will note that the budget reports have been consolidated at item 7 in the agenda. There will be one debate, but there will be separate votes on these reports, except items 7.4 and 7.5, where a list of consolidated recommendations have been produced to assist members. Please may I remind members, officers, including the press and public that are in attendance today, that all mobile phones must be placed in silent mode and no calls should be made or received in the chamber during the meeting. I will be calling for a comfort break after all the budget papers have been considered. For your information, that is all items up to agenda item 7. So moving on to the meeting properly, item 1 is apologies for absence. I understand that we've received apologies from Councillors Hill and Councillor Grimshaw. Are there any others from the floor?
Councillor Foster. Chair.
Councillor Foster. Any more?
Councillor Murphy.
Councillor Murphy. Okay, thank you. Item 2 is minutes. Beg your pardon, Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Stephen Bridget. Thank you. 2. Minutes. Minutes of the meeting of the County Council held on 17th of January 2024 as circulated to be confirmed as a true record. Can we confirm these minutes as a true record? Can I have a proposer, please? Proposed by Councillor Wearmouth, seconded by Councillor Stewart. Are we agreed? Thank you. Item 3, disclosure of members' interests. I remind you that we do not have to declare a disclosable pecuniary interest when voting on the council tax or precept, so you are therefore fully entitled to vote on this matter. So, for example, if you or someone you live with is a council tenant, or you receive school meals or school transport where you are a parent or a guardian of a child, as we all pay council tax and receive services from the council, this therefore will not amount to an interest to be disclosed. Does any member have any interest to declare that they have not already been declared to the monitoring officer before this meeting? No, thank you. Continue. Item 4, announcements by the Chair, Leader or Head of Paid Service. We have no announcements today. Item 5, public questions. We have received no questions from the public. Item 6, members' questions. We'll move to those questions. There's no questions submitted. Item 7, we now move on to item 7 on the agenda. The following items to be covered under this item, pages 21 to 308, is 7.1, Budget 24 to 25, report under Section 25 of the Local Government Act 2003, 7.2, Budget Engagement Report, 7.3, Budget 24-25, Medium-Term Financial Plan 24 to 28 and 30-year Business Plan for the Housing Revenue Account, 7.4, Budget 24 to 25 and Medium-Term Financial Plan 24 to 28. 7.5, Update to the Budget 24 to 25 and Medium-Term Financial Plan 24 to 28. Item 7.6, Revenues and Benefits Policy for 24-25. And item 7.7, Council Tax 24 to 25. Apologies for all that waffle there, but these reports comprise the laying of the budget, and item 7.5 updates members about matters relating to the budget which have arisen since the publication of the report, which was presented to the all scrutiny members, Corporate Services and Economic Growth and Overview and Scrutiny Committee held on the 29th of January, and the Cabinet, which was held on the 13th of February. For ease of reference, officers have consolidated the recommendations from the reports at 7.4 and 7.5, which have been circulated in the chamber, and I will take a vote on the consolidated recommendations. Recorded votes will be needed onto the budget report at 7.4 and 7.5, and also the council tax report at 7.7. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind members that you're permitted to speak for a maximum of 6 minutes, though I will exercise my discretion, if appropriate, to enable a full debate. Without further ado, can I invite the Leader of Council to present the reports.
Thank you very much, members. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to put forward the budget proposals for this year. This is a budget that's been based on extensive consultation. Extensive consultation. And so I'm very grateful to everyone, whether they're council members or members of the public, business leaders, for taking the time to help us mould this budget. This is a budget for residents, for staff, for business, and for the future of the county. As in previous years, we based this budget upon our three key priorities. The first of which is value for money. So how will residents benefit from the budget this year? They will benefit because we are protecting all our frontline services across the council. We're investing more in our roads over the next 2 years, something like 36 million this coming year, for example. All in all, well over £60 million over the next 2 years. We're investing in our schools, Seaton Valley School, Amble. We've got a new school in mind for Berwick, despite what some people might say. And we have, of course, just completed the Gilbert Ward Academy in Blythe. We're investing in our leisure service, and what a portfolio we have across the county. We are investing heavily in making sure that our leisure offer is the best. And I think people recognise the investments we've made, for example, in Berwick. I'm really delighted to say that there were 360,000 visits to the Berwick Centre last year. We're investing in urgent repairs. We're investing in modernisation. And in Prudhoe, for example, we're investing, getting on for £2 million in Waterworld there, bringing modernisation that's necessary. We're investing in our libraries at a time when many councils feel that they can't continue to invest in libraries. But we're doing that. So we've got over 12,000 new members of our library. And incredibly, almost 800,000 items have been borrowed from our libraries and from our digital library. We're investing in our climate and environment policy. That means we're going to spend more on parks and green spaces. So, for example, Cleethwell Hill, for example, Bedlington and Plessy. We're investing more money in litter picking on verges of major roads, something that annoys everyone except for the people that throw it out of their vehicles. But we are going to find more money to do that. And we're also investing in major projects, in Linemouth, for example. Been talked about for decades, but we are actually doing it this coming year. We're investing in major projects that are internationally recognised, like the Union Chain Bridge, for example, for which we all must feel really proud. We're investing in our education, where we see Ofsted results better than at any time that we've seen them. 95%, I think it is, are good or outstanding of our schools. And I thank everyone involved for that fantastic performance. We're investing in our fire and rescue service, one of the best there is. And it's so good to see them working as a close partner and indeed a key partner within the team at the County Council. And very excitingly, we're investing in a new master plan for the Hexham Middle School site. That has moved forward significantly over the last few weeks, and consultation will begin in the next couple of weeks on moving that from a draft into a final master plan, and I can't wait for that. It's a very, very exciting prospect, I can tell you. Tackling inequalities is our second priority. And I think in this chamber we can do one seriously significant thing, which is to continue to support our council tax support scheme, which helps a huge amount of people with council tax payments. The compact that we've worked together with our partners, and the very close working that we have now with key partners in the inequalities field. The great work of the Health and Wellbeing Board now, and thanks to Paul Evans-Shelburne, the chairman of that group. All the work that we do in communities across the county, and you will know that work. You know the work that we're doing in Ashington, for example. Great work by the County Council. And of course, creating new skills that will allow people not just to learn new skills, for example, in that fantastic new welding centre, but to pick up more motivation in some cases and more confidence that they can move on in their lives and find a job and a future. And then finally, investing in business. The Northumberland line, due to open very soon. What a wonderful project that is. Talked about for decades. Happening now. Investment in Blyth and Ashington, long overdue. Been talked about for decades, but happening now. Investing in rural development, talked about for ages, happening now. And being an active and committed partner of the new North East Mayoral Combined Authority. Right from the time we started talking, Northumberland has positioned itself in a place that finds itself respected and listened to, and that will continue. And that will help us with these huge opportunities that the Mayoral Authority will offer us. And of course, not least in investing in business, keeping free town centre car parking, something that we've been thinking about in every possible way, but we have absolutely committed ourselves to keeping that because of the effects it has on businesses, on our residents, and on our visitors. So that's really important, and we will keep that. And then finally, if I can just turn briefly to the council itself. This is a calm and professional council now. This is a council that is ambitious. This is a council that is valued. It's valued by our staff, and our staff feel valued. And that is a very, very major step to have taken over the last few years of difficulties. And I praise very much our executive directors. Oh, I think a few who are here today. I want to especially thank Jan Willis, without whose expertise and the team with her would not allow us to be in the strong financial position we are today, and which would allow us to continue with our role of protecting frontline services and investing in the council. So it would be wrong of me not to mention the Chief Executive, all of whom I think, all of the words of which would be rolled into one in saying I'm very proud of the way she has gone out, created new relationships, forged new partnerships with all the people out in the county, letting us be a voice again, not just in the county, but in the region and actually in the country now. So I'm very grateful to her. So this is a council where we are all working for the two aims: service for our residents and investment in the county. Tomorrow, next month, next year and beyond. So our county can be even more a land of great opportunities for our residents now, for their children and their children's children. Thank you. Silence. Thank you.
So, are you formally proposing that budget, Chair?
I am.
Leader, Chair. Do you have a seconder for that at all? Councillor Wearmouth is seconding that. Okay, do members have any brief questions or clarification about these items? Councillor Reid.
Thanks, Chair. It's a question, and I just need to find it. I've got so many tags for the debate later on, I'm having trouble finding the things. Just on page 279, when we get the revenues and benefits policy, the recommendations, which I think all of us here will probably be happy to support, I was just wondering whether can the parish councils double their precept as well, or is it just us being the primary authority that can do that? So if somebody's got a second home in 2025, they're going to pay 200% to us. The parish council that they're living in, can they double their precept or not, is the answer, is the question.
I'm happy to answer that, Councillor Reid. The answer is that They're not recipients of that funding. That is only to ourselves as the principal authority. So that doesn't go on their precept, it comes to our precept, it comes into our funds.
Sorry, can I just come back? What I'm saying is, yeah, I get that bit, but can the parish council itself double its own precept?
At any stage, a parish council can do that, Councillor Reid. So, you know, I'm a town councillor in Morpeth, you're a town councillor, I believe, in Blythe. You can set the council precept to whatever it is that you want it to be at any point.
No,
but what you can't do is levy your own second home taxation.
Thank you. That was the answer to the question.
Yeah.
So the answer is no. We are the only people that can double it. And is there supplementary, if that's all right? Is there any thought or mention of us giving any of that back down to the parishes, or are we just going to stick it in the pot?
Well, that's something that we haven't actually fully considered yet, but we will consider it.
Yeah, that's fine.
And yes, we will certainly consider that going forward.
Yeah, I know what consider means, Leader. Thank you.
Would you consider sitting down?
Do we have any further questions? Councillor Morford.
Thank you. Just a quick question also on the Revs and Bens policy. Could you reassure me that the empty homes premium won't be applied retrospectively to owners of homes that have already been empty for more than 1 year?
We can't do anything retrospectively as far as I'm aware under the law. So no, unless the 151 wants to correct me. No, that's right.
Okay, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. Just to ask the Leader something he said there. He had a fantastic response to the budget consultation. Do we know how many responses we got to the budget consultation? Thank you, Leader.
No, don't encourage him. We've had 300 and, is it 88, 388? Nearly 400, but we've also had a good... but we've also had a significant amount of meetings. We've met a lot of different people, and of course we've had 2 policy conferences here, one in June and one in September, I think, which has allowed all members that wanted to come and wanted to be involved to be actively involved. So I would say, without question, in the time that I've been a councillor, we have never had so much consultation as we have had, and that's helped us by ensuring that we retain the frontline services that people value and invest in the county for the future.
Okay, I don't think we've got any more questions. Okay, so without further ado, I will move to the debate. Does anyone wish to speak in the debate? Councillor Dickinson.
I'll get my contribution out of the way, and I thank the Leader for story time earlier, and I'm pleased he got a clap from the chamber, because that's often what happens when authors tell their stories in these environments. So he talks about a budget that supports people. He talks about a budget that does a lot for people who need it, when in actual fact it's a budget that has a massive rent increase again for the 2nd year running, which amounts in some cases to an extra £30 a month. And for those families on the breadline who don't receive any benefits, who do have to find that money themselves, who do currently work really hard and go to the food bank, they will find that really difficult to find. £30 a month is a lot of money. He talks about supporting into the future. Last year we heard that there would be no compulsory redundancies, and then we received information about youth workers being made redundant. Then we received information about family hubs being the new be-all and end-all and would solve all the youth work problems. And here we have a budget with over £500,000 being cut from family hubs. We've talked about adolescent services in the past that are really, really important to young teens across our county, especially after COVID and the delays and circumstances around mental health and others. And this budget, unfortunately, has over £400,000 being cut from a very, very small team. We're talking about empowering communities and doing really well out there, strengthening our communities. And again, the community plan has over £500,000 reduction through the BEST programme. The other things that the residents who did actually fill in the engagement said was that they were really supportive of young people. They were really interested in supporting older people who needed it. And the budget here today has £3.8 million worth of cuts from adult social care. It has millions of pounds worth of cuts from young people's services. Now, I'm not suggesting that that could all be resolved. I'm talking about the engagement that saw the council leader and officers go out to third parties before talking to members of this council. I'm talking about proper engagement in environments where you can have a debate and a discussion. I raised one point in a policy conference, and unfortunately the leader didn't quite like it, went off like a pocket rocket, and the meeting was cancelled, and that's not engagement or discussion. However humorous it may be, and when you look back, it is. But this is serious information that we're dealing with today. This is a budget that also includes £3.77 million worth of best savings. Now, this document tells us that the best savings are being evaluated by external consultants. We don't yet know what the detail of those best savings are. People are literally being asked to vote today on best savings that could be anything. It could be grass cutters, it could be bin lorries, it could be anything in the transformation programme that we have yet seen. We have had some reassurances from the 151 about best going forward, and it will come to scrutiny, and it will be more involved of the council. And I think, you know, some of our recent visitors who were reviewing the council said that best should be more interactive with members and we should have more information. So while there are some very good things in the budget, which I don't dispute, there are things in there which are projects that have gone on for a long time, that are now coming to fruition and still require council support. And I very much thank the leader for keeping them in there. But we do have to have a reality check. We can't have story time all the time, and we need to have a little bit of reality as to what's actually contained in these papers. Not so it can be ripped apart as I've done, just to lay it out there to make sure everyone's absolutely clear, but so we can work together to make sure that the older people, the young people, the people who need these services and who need these amount of monies within them are supported in a different way or through transformation of another service. But we need to have some open and honest, full interaction conversations around them. Thank you very much.
I'll bring you in at the end, Leader.
We're in debate.
Yeah, we're in debate. Councillor Morfitt.
Thank you. The Green Party Group's opinion of this budget is that the finance officers and the administration have again done a good job of a very bad situation. But let's not forget that the councillors in the administration have all chosen to toe the line of a Conservative government that's responsible for the erosion of local government services and the worsening of poverty as a result of financial mismanagement and the imposition of austerity measures. As a result, we're being pushed to agree to a 4.59% increase in council tax, which is an unfair tax anyway, to eat even further into our reserves and to make savings of £10.8 million, which will disproportionately disadvantage women. As usual, it's because we want nothing to do with austerity or its consequences that we won't be voting for this budget.
Thank you. I have Councillor Horncastle.
Thanks, Chair. I want to go first because it was the very first thing that Councillor Dickinson mentioned was the rent increase. And I'm a bit amazed that the councillor's been here at this council so long and come up with this. You want me to turn that way? Okay, I will. I'm a bit amazed that somebody who's been at this council as long as you have, Councillor Dickinson, could come out with something like this, because you're doing nothing more than scaremongering. And anybody that could read this in the papers tomorrow, if they were to believe what you're saying, we're going to have a complete reduction in the housing services. What's actually happened is that the housing revenue account for our 8,300 and odd houses, it's a ring-fenced account, means you can't put money in, you can't put money out. So that means that the only way it's financed is through our rents. So the rents generate our rolling programme for repairs and maintenance. The rents finance affordable housing. It goes towards the government targets in energy efficiency and insulation, and to meet the new requirements of the government housing regulation bill. And all local authorities around us, including authorities of your political persuasion, are doing exactly the same as we have. So nobody puts things up deliberately to hurt people. So what we've done is, when I say that authorities around us, that also includes the registered social landlords like Carbon, Benicia and all the others. They've had to do exactly the same for a reason. But when you're talking about people on the breadline can't pay the rent, 70% of our tenants do not pay the rent. It's picked up by universal credit and other housing benefits. The 30% that do, we have a hardship fund of 350,000 that we introduced last year. That was underutilised, so we've transferred what was left from last year into this year. So there's nobody that will get into difficulty paying their rents will suffer from this. If we didn't do this, any money that's taken out from, we don't raise the rent increase to the amount that we need, it's lost forever. Because it's a ring-fenced account, once it's lost, it's gone forever. So that is the situation. So you're either looking for some cheap headlines or you don't really understand how the HRA works. So what I suggest is, I'll gladly organise a meeting for you with the housing officers and finance officers so I can explain it to you properly.
Right, I have Councillor Bourne.
Thank you, Chair. It is a really, really difficult job being leader of the opposition here and being opposition members, because they've got to oppose the budget. They can't agree with what we say because they've got to wave their flag and pretend they're an alternative. Well, that's a pretty weak rule today from the leader of the opposition. To be fair, that's his job. He's got to find reasons why he wouldn't support it, because you can't vote for the budget because that's not your raison d'etre. But this is a balanced, sensible budget. Okay, there's a rise in council tax. Well, that's inevitable. That inflation is a lot more than the rise in council tax. But if you're looking at rises, well, perhaps you should get the hotline to his PCC, who is proposing a ridiculous rise in the precept for the police, which dwarfs what is being proposed today, without any actual justification. Now, I think I can commend to this chamber a sensible, balanced budget. There is no sensible alternative. There is no alternative, really. So, perhaps, I know you've got to pretend you're not in favour and all that, but come on, let's just be honest to taxpayers. Let's say this is the only thing on the table, this is the most sensible thing on the table, and come on, surprise everybody. Vote for it. You did it with the council tax support scheme. Come on, surprise us today. Thank you.
I've got Jeff Reid.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, I would just remind people with short memories and long memories that back in 2009 to 2013 or whenever it was, the Liberal Democrat administration bought budgets, 5 budgets, and 3 of them you all voted for. So, that doesn't wash. So anyway, so here we are again. I've got to stand up and I've got to complain about things, as you say, it's my job. But I just wish that at the very beginning of the agenda, where you've listed 7, that each of the reports had the page numbers beside them. But I'll tell you, it's taken me here. That's got tabs all over the place. So that would be an innovation for next year if you could do that. The next thing really was just the public consultation I wanted to talk about. 388 people responded. 388. 16 of them were councillors. So you just have to think about that. There were 16 people in this room were so detached from the consultation you were having with us. They thought the only way they could get their voices heard was filling the public consultation. Amazing. Right, so now we're looking at your priorities. The thing that's got the most public response is, please don't put my council tax up. 57% of the people ask, don't want higher taxes. So what's the one thing you do? You stick the council tax up by the most you can by law. The other thing is if I can find it quickly, climate change, which, as we know, we all think it's important, and we all do our best. We've declared a climate emergency, not that that seems to have made any difference to anything, but one of the things, there's a little chart here. 1 is the most important tier, and 7 is the least important tier. And investing in climate change initiatives, 5, 6 and 7 account for over 40% of the responses. Don't want the council to invest in climate change emergency initiatives. So it's all very well going out to consultation, but it's a double-edged sword, because what the consultation tells you is not to do any of the things you're doing. It says it doesn't like our battle against inequality. It says somewhere here, most people don't want money spent on enabling services. And you're spending fortunes on it. So I cannot see why you put so much effort into this when you do not spend your time investing in the place that can make a difference. You could get all of us to vote for something, but you don't include us. And before you go on about policy conferences and God knows what, that is not how we want to be engaged with. We want to be engaged in small groups of people talking to chief officers who know what they're talking about and who can offer us choice. So why don't we next year have a budget task and finish group and have 5 or 6 people who are actually interested in the budget, because I totally get it. Most people are interested in the services we deliver, most councillors, but most of them do not want to get into the nitty-gritty detail of all of this. So get a group of people together who actually want to work on something, who can then go back to their groups and say, we need to do this, it's been explained to me. And then perhaps this time next year, we'll all stick our hands up and say, well done, leader, that's absolutely brilliant. But please do not rely on this kind of consultation to give you any kind of steer. Because if you did listen to this, you'd scrap all of your initiatives, you'd scrap all of your 3 permanent things that you think the council want to do. The people of Northumberland just want their bins emptied. They want the children educated. They want the older people looked after properly. That's what they want. But apparently it isn't, because either that or the message you're saying isn't getting through. Because the public consultation, by the way, if you want to look at it on the other hand, only 388 people out of 350,000 bothered to fill the thing in, and 17 of them were councillors. So I was told at some point that public consultation was a legal obligation, and apparently in here somewhere it says it's just best practice. So what I would do, I would turn it on its head and I would invest as much money as you possibly can in engaging with us, the decision makers who understand that climate change initiatives have to be undertaken, to understand that we have to put the council, you have to put the council tax up every year because it's lost forever if you don't. I only wish that at some point you'd talk to us about the council rents instead of just sticking it in here, because nowhere have I seen anything on any agenda anywhere that said this is what we have to do. And I have always objected to the fact that the affordable homes that we build are paid for by the people who pay the rent. So the least able people are being used to build affordable homes. It can't be right. That's what it says. That's what the portfolio holder said. The rest of it, you know, if you'd kind of engaged with us, and if we'd been given options, and if we'd been able to vote on things, I'm fairly certain that we could have all been here on a happy day and all stuck our hands up, because that's what you did 3 times for me. And the last one was the year before the election. I think it was the shortest budget meeting ever. If you remember, you put me on your shoulders and you carried me out of the room. and across the car park. So anyway, just that's kind of the big strategic thing. And so I'll just get into a bit of the nitty-gritty. But before I do that, I must just say that, again, one of your 3 priorities is value for money. So I'm sure some of you have seen this and some of you may not have done. But this is a page that I took out of the Mazars. Mazars is our external auditor, if you remember. So, audit progress. Value for money. There's a big, red, massive amber circle beside it. And it says, work ongoing in relation to 1920, 2021, 21, 22. And what, if you don't know what the amber means, is potential to result in material adjustment, which means that when the auditors can actually figure it out, if they ever can, that they might have to change the accounts.
Councillor Reid, you're up to 9 minutes.
9 minutes, bloody hell.
And you did tip me off, and we did have that pre-conversation, but you might want to think about getting to a place.
I'm glad I got the killer blow in. There you see. The external auditor says we are not value for money. So I thank you for your indulgence, Chair. The rest of the things, you'll just have to wonder what I was going to say across the next 18 post-it notes. But never mind. Thank you.
Councillor Castle.
At least I can remember as much as anybody can in the last 9 minutes, Chair. Thank you very much. I'm not sure what it actually said. What it seemed to imply, or in those last couple of sentences, that we at some stage must stop seeking value for money. What we're actually doing is always looking for value for money and improving it. And I think we are actually achieving that, better value for money wherever we can. And as I may go back to the leader of the Labour group, who said he ripped apart this document, I think there was more wrapping than ripping, if I may say so, Councillor Dickinson, because I don't quite know what points you are making that I would consider very, very seriously damage the credibility of this. I've got to say that in terms of consultation, I've been a councillor 20 years. This is the most comprehensive consultation process I have yet seen, and that includes that of the Liberal administration of the time that I was here as well. And I do not remember any budget groups being met at that particular time to discuss the outcome of the budget. So this has obviously entered his thinking at the moment. And yes, he's quite right that 388 responses from 30,000 people isn't terribly huge, which means
You have actually given everybody the opportunity to say what they wish. And frankly, consultation is not a referendum. It's a means of giving people the opportunity to tell the council what they think. I did that. I filled the form in as a county councillor, not because I haven't got an opportunity of actually taking points forward with the administration or the officers I have, and I do all the time, as does every other member. You all have access to the officers and all have access to the members. That is at your disposal all the time. But the budget must be provided by the administration. And the day the administration hands over that decision and that responsibility to the opposition will be a first, that's for sure. And I look forward, frankly, to you supporting this budget if you possibly can. Of course, there are bits of it you wish you didn't have to do. Of course, we would rather not have to put up rents. But sometimes you're faced with the reality of the world. And I'm sorry that the Greens seem to think that we should make decisions based on what the national government policies are rather than what ours are. But I think you do with what you've got. You make the best with what you've got. And can I say that what we don't want to do is follow the route of other Labour administrations across the country. That's what we mustn't do. I've got to say this, I'll even give credit to the Labour administration. I know it's dangerous, but I'm going to do it. Whilst I've been here, we've actually always had quite a well-managed financial system on this council, and it continues to be very well managed, and it's getting better managed. So I thank the officers and members for that. So those are my points, but the process of consultation, I've just got to tell you that listening does not mean agreeing. We listen to what people say, and we take note of what people say, but it's not a referendum. Thank you very much.
I have Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to refer back to the Labour leader's question. Well, I suppose it was more of a statement. In regard to losing and cutting £3 million from the adult social care budget. That isn't actually right. We are making £3 million, a hope to make £3 million of efficiencies. And as you will know, all of us at some time in our lives will probably touch into adult social care, whether it's illness, disability, or just seemingly old age. And so we would never do something to cut £3 million from an adult social care budget. What we are doing is looking at individual cases with social worker and case managers and trying to do what is efficient and against services to our individual clients and to meet their proper assessed needs. And so it is an efficiency and not a cut.
Councillor Nick Oliver.
Thank you, Chair. I think the first thing to say is that this must be a good budget. When the first thing that Councillor Reid could raise issue with was the page numbering. I think it's also important to have some context as well. I mean, we are on the back of a COVID crisis and war in Ukraine, rising, very high inflation. And I think what we've had here is six years of very sensible, responsible, conservative management of the finances of this council, which allows us to continue investing in our communities. When we see councils around us closing leisure centres and doing other things that making very difficult choices, we're actually investing in leisure centres, we're investing in schools, we're investing in our communities, we're investing in opportunity, we're bringing jobs to the county. So I think this is a very, very positive. Jobs all over the county. JDR Cables, I'll give you one example. But so it's really exciting, everything that's happening, and many of the businesses that are already here are expanding, and it is a very vibrant place to be. And also, for a moment, if I can be a little bit parochial, it's also a very good budget for the west of the county and for Tynedale. We haven't always had that in the past, particularly pre-2017. There's investment in a cycle route between Corbridge and Hexham. There's investment in car park in Corbridge. And we're investing in making Hexham Town Centre a much more attractive place to visit and to live in. So I think this is an excellent budget, and I think we should commend it.
I have Councillor Caroline Ball.
Oh, first names. Right then, so first off, thank you, Leader, for your rousing speech about everything that's happening now. The consultation events that have happened. My understanding of consultation is you actually listen to what's been said as well. I asked you in scrutiny, what changes have you made because of any consultation that has happened? I'm still waiting for an answer on that. It's still pie in the sky when you are saying that you are listening and doing consultation. So not listening to residents on the budget, I personally think that's not happening now. When it comes down to scrutiny, we weren't even given all the information for the scrutiny meeting. So how can we scrutinise papers when we're not given full information? So that's happening now. Not listening to the residents on what they want in their towns across Northumberland when we come to regeneration. You say you're listening. Some of the information and data is so out of date. You're not listening, and that is happening now. And if you want to come up Ashington Main Street, I am quite happy to take you on a visit so you can actually listen to people and hopefully hear what they're saying. Because at the moment, what's happening now is not what you're telling me. We're putting more and more on the community and voluntary sector. There's no funding or very little. We need to support and help the community and voluntary sector more instead of pushing more and more services that way. When we come to best value, ask the residents around my way, we are concerned about potholes, lack of grass cutting, weeds, the height of me. So when we're saying that people are getting best value, actually, people want cleaner streets. They want to make sure they've got youth clubs for the kids to go to. The leisure centres that we're investing in, people want to be able to afford to go. When you stand up and brag about that 70% of people that have council houses are on housing benefits, so they're supported, actually they're trapped in poverty. Is that anything for anybody to be bragging about anywhere? And the other 30% are working their socks off to keep a roof above their heads and barely keep the lights on. So come on, this is not something we should be bragging about at all. And I just think when you turn around and say that the household support fund's gone, actually we haven't got safety nets for people, and I just think this is not something that we should be bragging about. So when you're saying about things happening now, this is not a great budget by any stretch of the imagination, and I cannot support it. And can I just point out, efficiencies are cuts, and we've seen them year on year on year when council tax is going up. So no, I can't support this at all, and I just really think that when it comes down to working people, we need to make it like work pay for people, and this doesn't help people to get out the poverty trap. It's not helping people to have cleaner streets. It's not getting the bins emptied. It's not getting the grass cut. It's when we're seeing the cost of waste going up. Sorry, but I can't support it, and that's happening now.
Councillor Anne Dale.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's interesting listening to what everybody has said. Can I just go back, first of all, the councils all over the country are having difficulty with their revenue support grant because the government still hasn't managed its fair funding review. So we're still waiting since 2018. But all the councils are having problems setting budgets. And I can understand this council's position. And I can understand, actually, where do you cut? What impact it's going to have on our residents? But you have put the council tax up. And I think you have to keep the council tax base up. Otherwise, we'll be in a really difficult position moving forward. However, Inflation has had an awful impact on this council. Inflation, £28.5 million is inflation into this budget for next year. But that is not only the impact it's having on the whole of the residents of Northumberland. Every single tax in this country has been going up and up and up. So the council tax, for instance, 2018 Band D was 17,400. Sorry, 1,700. It's now 2,076. That has an impact on everybody's life. But so have all the other taxes they're paying. And that's the big problem. That everybody, all the residents of the country are being hit by ongoing taxes from this government. And they have not helped this council. And in fact, I think since 2008, they've taken billions out of the North East. We're not talking about 1 billion, we're talking about billions. And that's had an impact right across the North East. And I have to say, I agree with Councillor Reid. We went through, I think in 2008, I actually did a base budget. It took me 4 months to take it to pieces. And it really was a really interesting piece of work. And the officers were helpful. And we'd see where the money was going, what we actually didn't even know it was being spent on. And we were able to make proper decisions. And I think we need to go back to that again. So we do need to go back to base budgeting, but also taking into account our key performance indicators. I have no idea in this budget where our performance indicators are failing, where they're in the red. There's plenty in the external auditor's report. But actually, I would like to know that these are being addressed in this budget. So can I just go on to consultation? I did actually go to the first budget conference. I was the one there, and the leader was on the other side. 2 of us. And Councillor Wearmouth nodding. And there were a few people on Zoom. That's not a conference. There were 3 questions, and that was the end. So I think we need to look at the value, because we're spending an awful lot of money on consultation, but either we listen or it has an impact and people attend and do something. So if I went on to my one thing, I'm here because I represent my ward, and I think I probably represent a lot of people's views in the Tynedale area. In the consultation, it was very clear that they wanted more money spent on highways. And wherever you go, there's potholes. Potholes everywhere. Somebody going to Blanchland the other day took 2 tyres off, just near Blanchland. A68, A695, all of them. Those are the large ones. Today I have sent a small video to the office on a pothole problem I have in Stocksfield. You wouldn't believe it. It's absolutely horrendous. But everybody's in the same position. And I came here in November and asked the question, what is the council going to do in revenue to help with the impact on our highways by climate change? All I got was, oh, we've got 4 new gully cleaners. Well, actually, there weren't 4 new ones. They were just new ones. The other ones were taken out. Now, the biggest problem about the highways, and people will tell you this, is they're not being maintained properly in the first place. So we've got 1 road sweeper from Edinburgh, from the Scottish borders, down to the Newcastle borders, Gateshead borders, Cumbria borders. We have 1 gully cleaner. And every 3 years, you get your gully cleaned. We've had floods. The biggest problem is the infrastructure on a lot of the highways, especially the old estates, are not fit for purpose. The gully heads are tiny. Underneath, the infrastructure is broken. Work needs to be done on ditching. All the basics that keep water off the highways. And it is not being done because there isn't enough revenue in there. So we need more gully cleaners. We need more road sweepers. We need a larger workforce because this is the only way you're going to give value for money to our residents. And the Telegraph picked that one up. Quite easy. Whatever you do or you agree, it was in the Telegraph. But people are really very, very cross. And to say you're on top of potholes actually doesn't help people's temper. I can tell you, one evening, oh, gosh. And actually, people don't get at me, but they're getting at me because of the council. So I'm asking you to go back and look at that because it's got a massive impact. I've got street lighting where people are walking on roads you can't walk on. There's no pavement and there's no street lighting. And children having to walk to school. So those are the things that really matter. You know, the bins cleaned, brilliant bin service, wonderful. But the highways, the men workforce work, all of them, hard. And I can only say I can appreciate for everything they do in all weathers. But they need more. So I think you need to go back and have a look at that one. Just for the last, basically, was about value for money. And I will agree with Councillor Reid. But actually, for the last, since 2018-19, the value for money has been qualified by the external auditors. Since 2018, that's a long time to have your value for money and your accounts audited. So I really think people need to address what we need by value for money. And while I'm just quickly, I like local things. Prado, do you know, if you look, as you're very keen with all your wonderful new leisure centres, well, I used to be running the leisure because I was cabinet member for the economy, which includes leisure and tourism.
Councillor Daly, you might wish to start wrapping up.
I'm going to do it now. I was just going to say, last thing is, I actually think Predo deserves a new leisure centre, a new swimming pool, not an investment. It's out of date, and we need a new one there. And I think people would appreciate that. So can I have some new money for roads, please? And could we have a new swimming pool for Predo? Not just a £2 million makeover, it needs a brand new one. Thank you. And I will support, or I won't disagree with the budget, by the way.
I've got
there on that one.
Councillor Hunter.
Thank you, Chair. Certainly I welcome the investment we've had in Berwick, and we've got the Berwick Partnership moving forward. I'm a bit concerned to see that the big expenditure is not till 26, 27, 27, 28. But I hope that the full expenditure will be there and more if required, because we need to make sure that we give all children the best start in life. I'm just a bit concerned that it seems as if it's dragging on, because the people up north, I think, just want something decided on. And the Maltons, hopefully, that we will go for as much external funding as we can find. There's a further pots. Let's grab it and get it. If levelling up, let's have it in the north. And I just have only concerns as the fact that we're using reserves to balance the budget. Yes, we've got reserves at the minute, but through time, if we do it every year, the reserves are going to deplete. So it's not something that can be done every year. Thank you, Chair.
Just to say, we've got the following speakers lined up. Councillor Dodd, Councillor Esel-Shelvin, Councillor Mather, Councillor Robinson, Councillor Kennedy, Councillor Renner-Thompson and Councillor Riddle. Any wish to add to that? I'll put Councillor Waddle.
Can you leave your hands up?
Yeah.
So
Councillor Waddell, beg your pardon, Councillor Bowman and Councillor Vilcek. I will add you to the list. And I think we've had quite a debate by that point. So, and then we'll move to summing up. So I'll go to the next speaker, who is Councillor...
Can I ask a question, Chair?
A point of order.
Well, whatever. I need some advice. There's going to be people speaking here now, and there's been some previous speakers who have actually rubbished some of the work that we've done. And as portfolio members, we would like the right to come back at the end of this to put things right.
It's a debate. It's a debate. I'm sure the leader will be able to in his summing up, will be able to put those points by a proxy. But I will go to Councillor Dodd, who is the next speaker.
Yes, Chair, I'll be very brief. I normally am. At one point, Councillor Dale referred to the fact that opposition members, and there are 2 or 3 groups of opposition members here, used to come up with an alternative budget. Where that was, it is true. Well, we'll have to disagree, Scotty. You know. And they would come up with an alternative budget, not the whole thing, but where things would be done differently. We do not see that anymore. So please, if you're going to have a rant, like Jeff Reid, and I need to correct Jeff Reid, because I do go back to 2013, because I was a councillor a month before you all. He was carried out the chamber on a big chair and taken out the car park. Yeah, you were, but it was after the election.
Councillor Ezel-Chelvin.
Thank you, Chair. I will also be very brief. From what I heard so far, the charges from the opposition seem to revolve around how this budget itself came about. No consultation, more consultation, less consultation, etc., etc. So we should also be focusing, in my opinion, what this budget says, what this budget aims to deliver, and how it is defined. So if you look at from these aspects, I mean, the more you look at it, the more clearer it becomes. It's the most balanced, multi-objective budget. We can come up with the kind of economic climate we are living in. Okay. For example, we protect the baseline services, while councils elsewhere are cutting free school meals, some, closing leisure centers where we are building new ones. Okay. And also we invest in future. We are investing in future. Right. Having addressed dire issues, long neglected issues. Okay. Now we are moving on to other category. For example, my own town, I was told, and I could see, is promised 3.5 million for infrastructure rebuilding. That's a welcome news. We are looking into the future as well. And finally, tackling inequalities is at the heart of this budget. This is one of my favorite visions. I dedicate myself along with officers in the Health and Wellbeing Board, right? And we are doing it. What we do, we don't just throw away the money. We go around, consult, build intelligence, and then based on that intelligence, we spend. That also means we need to look around where we can make savings. So in all these aspects, this budget delivers a lot more than we can expect. Thank you for that. Thank you for the officers who designed it that way. I will welcome this budget. Thank you.
Councillor Mather.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, I would like to thank the administration and all the officers for the hard work in producing this budget. It's easy politics, isn't it, to use the word cuts instead of savings. It's point scoring, and it bores me. Yeah. If they were stood here bringing up figures and telling us how we could be doing it better, absolutely, I'd be fully behind them. We can all look at things to do things better, but to use just point scoring, it terribly bores me. I would love to see an opposition budget. I would love to see figures to sit down and see how the opposition could do it better. So I want to thank the leader and the administration for listening to my members of the constituents and in my area, looking at tackling inequalities. We've heard about the lack of working with the volunteer sector. Just recently we held the Inequalities Working Group at Wooler, and it highlighted for about 3 hours how well we were working with the volunteer sector in rural North Northumberland and supporting them in doing the great work that they do. And I want to thank the volunteer sector for doing that. The importance of frontline services. We've heard about potholes. I'm sure we all get it. The whole country's hearing it after the long summer and wet summer and long winter we've had. But here in this budget, we've got £11 million over the next 2 years to tackle potholes. And I want to thank the leader and this administration for listening to us, because I feel very easy to speak to the administration and put my views forward. And here we have in this budget 4.45 million for UNC roads. So I would like to thank you for that, leader. My constituents do appreciate it.
Councillor Malcolm Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. I mean, we are debating the engagement report here, aren't we? We seem to be straying a little bit. The whole thing, I've got some specific numbers questions and for later. First of all, I'd like to thank the leader because I think this has more information. I've been given more information on this budget than I ever have before. Without a shadow of a doubt. So, and I'm talking not just information, explanation as well. So, thank you for that. What I am concerned about, though, is the amount of assumptions built into the figures. And time again in this budget, there's assumptions based in, and it's nearly always because central government haven't given us the information we need to do it properly. That's a worry. I mean, in the business rate section, there's one of them goes back to 2011. Businesses have got no relationship to 2011 these days. Completely changed out there. The engagement, the questions, and I'm one of the 16 or 17 members who filled it in because I wanted to see it, and I'm also a council taxpayer. The questions in that question, and I was all for it because I think we should be asking people what they're prepared to pay for. I found them, as I went through it, I found them more and more leading. I found them more and more, you were asking people questions that you wanted a specific answer to. And I said that in my reply. So if you look at it, you'll find that's mine. I have my own consultation as well. I ask people as I go around. I see lots of them. I talk to lots of them. There's a clear message. My people that I'm talking to want you to do the basics better. Simple as that. You can keep your vanity projects, do the basics better. And that's the message they've asked me to deliver. Thank you.
Okay, I have Councillor Kennedy.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much. Well, I think let's have a look now. D-band. D-band. So anybody who's got a D-band property is going to be paying £2,076. For every year that you've been in power, you put it up to the maximum. 5%, 5%, 5%. All the time. I'm sure dear old Maggie, who dreamt up council tax, the council tax system, to much acclaim, you know, it was so welcomed in Scotland, would be turned in her grave to see that it's actually turned into £2,076 a year for a household. You know, it was always supposed to be just an addition, not a substantial sum, as it's turned out to be here. But it's £2,076. But also, if you read in here, you've actually had to dip in your reserves to balance your budget. 16.5 million is being stripped out of reserves to balance this budget. So not only as it goes up by the maximum allowable to take it to 2,076, you're actually having to supplement it with 16.5 million. Now that isn't sustainable when your reserves are something like 70 million? You know, keep chipping away with 16 million out of that, doesn't it? There's not going to be a lot left after a couple of years. So, you know, I just think you need to have a look at that. Consultation. So you're talking about consultation. Well, we all got sent our bills for the brown bin. £52 this year. Now, you talk about consultation. Not even the councillors voted for the £52. An officer, an unnamed, faceless officer, has decided it's £52. So not even the council has actually voted on the £52. We're going to do that today. But the bill went out weeks ago. So, you know, you're talking about us being engaged and being part of a council. We don't even get a vote on that until it's been decided by somebody in County Hall who's arrived at a figure. So it's not, you know, that doesn't make you feel part of a decision-making body. The decision's already been made. The bills have already gone out. You've already paid for your sticker, for your brown bins. So, you know, we're talking about consultation. This is beyond consultation. This is actually decision-making, and it's being taken away from us. And we're being shown a fait accompli that the bill has already gone out for £52. I would love to know if we said, no, we don't want to pay £52, we don't want to vote for the £52, what would you do then? Send refunds? Just a question. Other things. Hexham. So a couple of years ago, there was an election in Hexham for a by-election. Conservatives are running scared they were, and they put out a leaflet, the MP saying, don't vote for anybody else other than us, because that's £5 million at risk. That's £5 million being put into Hexham by the Conservatives. Fantastic. I mean, it did a great job in helping the Conservatives come second to that by-election. But I've just found out that that £5 million ring fence for Hexham has now been removed. It's been removed from Hexham and put into a central pot. So we might have had a few nibbles of that £5 million, but the vast majority of that money has now gone out of Hexham and back into Morpeth's central pot. So we've had that taken from us into a general fund, which totals £7 million. So the vast majority of that money was Hexham's, is now going to be diluted amongst the whole of the county. And you mentioned the Hexham Middle School, the master plan. At last, that Hexham Middle School's been closed for 3 years, and we've been waiting for this master plan for 3 years. We all knew it was going to close 3 years ago, and we expected a plan kind of around about 3 years ago. So at last it's come, but God, it's come late. You know, that site is a massive site. We want things to happen there. We want social housing. You know, we want things to happen on that site. But to wait 3 years and then go like, hooray, we're just about there, fantastic. I mean, what have you been doing for the last 3 years? Why was that not done earlier? It could have been done in year one. But it's just sat and sat and sat, you know, without any plan. I mean, obviously, we're coming up to an election in 2025. You're probably going to come up with some master plan, you know, and the work will not start until when? Beyond 2025. So, you know, there's lots of things being said. I'll not go over those things, but I think those are the key things for me. And if, as Councillor Dodd says, another councillor said, how do you improve things in this county? Well, I'll give you one idea. Potholes has been said by Councillor Dale. The place is littered with potholes. Littered. Go and buy some more vans that fill the potholes. You've got the men who actually do the pothole filling, driving the vans, doing the gritting in the winter. And that's when the potholes come. That man, that woman who drives those vans and fills the potholes can't do 2 jobs at once. So if you want to try and find a way to do it better, it doesn't take a millionaire to work out that that is how you would do it. You know, those people cannot do 2 jobs. They've got to be gritting or they've got to be doing potholes. They can't do it both. I mean, they're out at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning driving those gritting vans. And they can't do that shift and then come back and fill potholes. So men and machinery is required to fix that. So I'll leave that with you, because that will be an easy win for anybody who takes on this council.
Right. Thank you. I have Councillor Guy Renner-Thompson.
Thank you, Leader. Of course, you'll expect me to commend this budget based on the Children's Services budget. If we look at the capital programme, which you so kindly mentioned earlier, we see new secondary school and a new special educational needs school in Amble. We see £47 million for a new school set up in Berwick. And thank you to Councillor Seymour and Councillor Hunter, who were able to have very sensible discussions with around that build. You missed off £6 million investment into the high school here in Morpeth for new classrooms and a new sports centre. Councillor Oliver missed off £500,000 for a new 3G pitch at the school in Corbridge. But most importantly, I think, is the £16 million we have in there to expand our capacity for special educational needs. And that money will be spent exactly where it's needed to be spent over the next 3 years. Such as an important issue it is for us all. It was mentioned before about family hubs. Now, I think the Labour side want to talk to some of their own people in Parliament there, because not only has Andrea Leadsom said that our family hub setup is the best they've ever seen, so does Frank Field, a very well-known Labour peer who's been working cross-party on this issue for a very long time. So this is not a party political issue for me. This is about getting what's best for our children and young people. I was very glad to open the Dads Matter Summit last week, where we talked about engaging young fathers with their babies and children. And that's the sort of thing that the Family Hub is doing. So we haven't taken £500,000 out of the family hubs. What we have done is agreed another £500,000 grant from the Conservative government to go into the family hubs, and that money has replaced money coming out of the central budget from the county council. Therefore, the money is the same as it was before. Going down to a very parochial matter, I'd like to thank Councillor Riddle and the administration for listening to my concerns about public toilets. You may or may not have noticed in the budget there's an extra line for growth in there to stop closing the toilets in the winter. So we've got toilets in Berwick, in Bamborough, in Beadnell, in Amble, in Allen Heads that will be open all through the winter. That never used to be needed. It's needed now because the county is a year-round tourist destination with thousands of people coming in the winter time. If I can turn to the roads, yes, I would like to thank the administration for the money into our UNC roads. I also note the comments from a Labour councillor at a local area council last week saying that when they come in, they'll pull rural roads funding because the farm, tracks and field roads must be perfect the way they are with the amount of money we've been putting into it. So let's just hope they never get in.
Okay, my next speaker is Councillor John Riddle.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry, my voice isn't the best today, but I'll do what I can. Yeah, well, I didn't really want to talk about potholes today, but seeing you brought it up, I will defend what we are doing. As you're all aware, you know, we've had extraordinary weather, and driving around, I would say that I was in Gateshead yesterday, etc. You know, I think the roads in those areas are actually much worse than ours. And I have managed to secure an extra 10 million or so, more than 10 million in this next year's budget on top of the LTP money. As has already been said, there's about 4.5 million of that for UC roads and pavements. There's 2.76, I think, was the pothole extra money we got from government. And on top of that, we've got £2.5 million, which we are going to do different repairs to potholes. We did a trial on cut-out potholes, etc., cut-out repairs, and they definitely cost more, but they are a long-term solution. We are also, so basically there's 2.5 million in there that isn't actually at present allocated to specific schemes, but which will come in front of me as portfolio member to approve in the areas where it's going to be spent. So that will be structural patching. We also, you know, addressing Councillor Kennedy's comment there about revenue and about men, etc., and women and workforce. You're partly correct, Derek, but we still do have dedicated gangs throughout the country, throughout the county, sorry, working on potholes all the time. But when there is severe weather and the wagons are working on 3 shift systems, then that is when they are drawn off. So it is for a very limited period of time. And the other comment, which was widely off the mark about the gully cleansers, we have more than one gully cleanser. We actually have 5 gully cleansers in the county, and area managers have the ability and the authority to hire in extra resource when they're needed, as and where. You know, and I think the comment about consultation and not listening, well, clearly we have listened, because as Councillor Guy Renner-Thompson has said, the parish councils, we have the parish council forum. One of the things that came forward from that was about winter opening hours of public conveniences, and the fact that some parishes were paying £2,000 to have them kept open. So those parishes that were paying won't need to pay next year, and this equates to about 20-22 public conveniences which will be kept open for the full season. And I think with that I'll sit down. Thank you, Lee. I commend this budget.
Okay. My next speaker is Councillor Waddell.
Thank you, Chair. So I wasn't sure if I was going to speak today, because I feel in these debates I'm constantly repeating myself, and you've probably heard what I'm going to say before. But we have just sat through every Conservative member in this chamber repeating each other, saying the same things. I think we need to remember why we're here and who we represent and who's given us the privilege to be in this chamber today, and that is people in our wards. And that is who you're voting for and who you'll represent today, not what you've been briefed to say. I would love to hear from Councillor Patterson as well on what exactly she believes is the difference between an efficiency and a cut. Outside of this chamber, I work as a social worker in adult social care. I work on the front line, and I understand how these efficiencies affect the families that we work with. We are the ones that have to tell families that we are going to have to replace their care calls with assistive technology, or they aren't going to get their preferred service because we've sourced a cheaper alternative. That is the reality of what efficiencies mean, and it's the officers of this council who are going to have to deliver that to the residents, while you've voted for these efficiencies, if you want to call them efficiencies rather than cuts. So I think really you think about looking in the eye of the residents of Northumberland and considering what you're voting for today.
I have Councillor Les Bowman.
Thank you, Chair. This past week has been an awful time for me. I've shed tears when I've been to see residents. And I want to just tell you what it's like in our communities, how bad it is. I got a phone call from a man who got in from work. He had received a letter saying he'd been made evicted. He has 2 young children, and he didn't know what to do, who to turn to. And I'm thankful that our housing authority and the homeless team are amazing. But they tell me they don't have any homes to put him in, but they will try their best. So landlords out there are handing out Section 21s like confetti because they're giving up hope of paying their mortgages and so on. And this falls back onto this council, doesn't it? And then only yesterday I called on a person in a council house, sitting in the freezing cold, worried about her finances, worried about the state of a council house. And yes, it has dampness. Yes, it is cold. Yes, there's all sorts of problems with it. So from that, I walked away with a list of jobs to do, and I will pursue them. But I shed tears because, to be honest, our residents shouldn't be living like this. We're living in a time where this government has caused pressures on our communities that have never been seen since the 1980s. And let's be honest, somebody mentioned that awful person's name, and I hope she stays in her grave and she doesn't turn and never ever mention her name again. Because I tell you now, the amount of suffering that our residents are going through is immense. And yet you have the goal to say, we'll put your rent up by 7.7% again. Let's sit down and think about the reality of the need for housing in this county and how we're going to do it. Not just charge those residents in these fantastic council houses. And let's be honest, we should be proud of our council houses. And we should be investing into them constantly. And not only are we as councillors proud of them, so should our residents be. But at the moment, they're not saying that. They're saying they're cold, they're damp. So I won't be supporting this.
I have Councillor Vilcek. That's the last.
Thanks, Chair. It's just on 7.2. Councillors received papers on Saturday. It's really nice to see the quality impact assessment in with the budget. I'm just wondering if we could have one for the budget setting process itself, because as a parent, as a worker, do you really think it's enough time, those few days, to actually sift through all of this information? It's just not good enough. And we've got people on this council who are carers with several responsibilities. So I think that needs to be addressed. And in terms of the budget itself, 7.4, Bedlington's mentioned once in the budget. It's funds from last year. It's phase 1, phase 2. As a Bedlington resident, that tells me where's the future for Bedlington in terms of a town centre. So I would like, you know, a bit more clarity on that, really, because I'm a bit worried as a resident looking at that. Where is our town centre? What is the plan?
Right. I've had the debate from the floor, and I'll go 2 more speakers. You've already spoken, Malcolm. Can't really put you back in. Is it? So I've got Councillor Wearmouth who seconded the proposal, then I will have Councillor Sanderson, and then we'll move on to the technical point of voting on all this. So Councillor Wearmouth.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair. We've heard from the compassionate left, haven't we? Wasn't that nice? Absolutely disgusting comments, and I don't think that that should go unsaid, Councillor Bowman. Really, really, really something that you wouldn't want to hear in this chamber. I'm going to just pick up a few points. I'm sure the leader will touch on some of these. I mean, who else have we heard from today? We've heard from the current Labour leader. We've heard from the next Labour leader as well. You know, I think that it would be... the first one was being mauled by a sheep, wasn't it? The second one was a bit more vigorous, but nonetheless... no real punches landed, I'm afraid, and that's because this is a fantastic budget for this council and for our residents in Northumberland. And we can see the signs of that in terms of the impact that we've had over a number of years. So if you go and you look at what the unemployment data for Northumberland, what is it? It's 3.1%. The UK average is 3.4%. North East is 4%. Go and look in a bit more detail. Look at the wages, and you'll see that before we took office in 2017, we were lagging way behind in terms of the actual average pay that someone went home with in Northumberland. And now we've caught up with the North East average, and I'm sure that we'll overtake it in due course as we create more jobs and investment through this programme that we have going on in terms of our town centres, in terms of our rural economy, all the things that I could mention, but I don't have enough time in the time that'll be allowed to me. We've had a discussion about efficiencies, and we've learned that the Labour Party is not going to ever cut anything if it gets into office. It's just going to spend, because there's no such thing as efficiency in their world. Well, we know on these benches, as Conservatives, that there's always the ability to do something better. And that's what we're getting from our officers, and that's what we're getting through the BEST programme as well. We heard from the so-called leader of the Independents as well, and he was complaining about taxes going up. Councillor Kennedy, how much have you put up how much have you put up tax in Hexham? Was it 28% a couple of years ago?
Yay! 28%!
Was it
28?
Councillor Kennedy, was it 10% the year before?
Oh, no, no.
So, no lectures, please, from... lectures,
please. Okay,
from,
we're all getting very...
Excuse me.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Shocking.
We're getting quite excited here. Can we just listen to the speakers? We're here to make our debate points. Make your debate points. Let's not have back and forth. Can you carry on, Councillor Wheeler?
Absolutely. And we needed a bit of energy because, goodness me, there's been no energy in terms of the attack on the budget from the opposition. 10%, I think it was at one. And if you want to know what Morpeth Town Council are doing, we've frozen it 3 years in a row. Take that.
Well done, Morpeth.
In terms of where are we? What else have we got? Councillor Bowman, ultimately, you spoke very passionately, despite that bit that we'll try and forget, about affordable homes and about council homes. So what's this administration doing? We're spending £40 million to make sure that we've got more of them. Yeah. We've already got, 1,700 additional homes in terms of affordable homes across this county. A fantastic thing to have achieved and a priority for this administration through 2 successive now councils and into the next one as well.
Order.
And when it comes to Ashington, shed loads of cash being spent in Ashington. You try and see a Labour council do that except to move County Hall for £80 million or whatever it was, create no jobs and have a few people buying some sandwiches in the Fy Street. And in terms of Bedlington, of course, there'll be more investment in Bedlington, and you'll see that through the Borderlands programme, as you know, and you get updates on it. And I do love the back and forth.
Excuse me, Chamber, can we let people speak, please?
But thank you, Chair. And ultimately, we've heard from quite a few people about listening to the people of Northumberland. And what have we done? We've listened to them and put £36 million into our budget to fix our roads and our pavements. A huge amount, 28 million in the year to follow, over 60 million over a couple of years, and there's more still to come, I'm absolutely sure. So absolutely, I am very happy to second this budget and commend it to you all, and I hope that you all vote for it, because if you don't, you've got to go home, you've got to explain why you didn't back more council houses, why you didn't back our pothole fixing, why you didn't want more schools refurbished and rebuilt. So take that message from me, please, and back this budget. It is a fantastic document. It's a fantastic bit of work. And thank you very much to all of the officers who assisted throughout this process, and everybody who engaged in all of those policy conferences, consultations, and so on and so forth, because, goodness me, there was a hell of a lot of them, but it was very worthwhile. Thank you.
To the leader to sum up.
In the absence of an alternative budget, you have this budget to vote on or not, as the case may be. And I'll run through in a minute, if you don't vote for this budget, what you're not voting for. And we can kind of look in detail about what you might deprive some of your residents of. I'd just like to touch on a couple of points. I do so respect Councillor Hunter's comments when she makes them around Berwick. She knows and is enthusiastic about the amount of money the Conservative administration has spent in Berwick. Far more than before, and we are committed to the Maltings, and we will find a way forward with that. I don't really want to criticise other members, but I think some members who criticise... Sorry, some members that criticise... Well, okay, I will then. Some members... I'm telling this story, not you, please. Some of the members that have criticised the work we're doing on our roads really need to think carefully about those people who are out there working now. Those people who are out in their trucks or working in the rain. So please, please, stop talking about the roads are full of potholes and it's terrible. Please don't talk like that, anybody, because they are doing their best. This is a battle. This is a battle that the weather has caused. It's not just in Northumberland. Anyone that travels around will know that these problems are throughout the United Kingdom. But we will get there. This is a battle we will win. Don't talk down our staff. Please, let's get behind them and we'll get there. So, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to run through a little list of the things that if you don't
come with me today, and I think you will. I think you will. Your hearts are softened, but let's just think what you're saying no to. Councillor Dickinson, for example, you're saying no to spending more on our super schools. You're saying no, if you don't go with this budget, to saying we will continue to spend on our leisure centres. You're saying no to investing in Prudhoe Waterworld. You, the Labour Party, are saying no, we don't want to spend money in Prudhoe. No. And then you're voting against spending more money in Bedlington. We, the Labour Party, don't want to spend any money in Bedlington. And you're also saying you don't want to spend any money in Ashington. Councillor, you don't want to spend any... Well, support this budget, and you will. All I can say is thank you all very much. Please support the budget.
Okay.
Or it sounded better in the mirror this morning.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Please, can we have some quiet, because it's getting to the very technical bit where we have to say yes or no. So, well, not exactly yes or no, but the debate's finished. We can move to the votes and reports, and I'll go through them in turn. 7.1 budget 24-25. Report under Section 25 of the Local Government Act 2003. Members, can we note the content of this report in considering the budget? The recommendation is set out on page 21. So, is that just recommended?
It is.
Yeah,
Agreed.
Right, thank you. 7.2, Budget Engagement Report. Members, this report is also for us to note. Recommendations on page 39. Do we note that? Thank you. 7.3, Budget 24-25, Medium-Term Financial Plan 24-28, and 30-year Business Plan for the Housing Revenue Account. Members, we have 13 recommendations to consider for this report. We are not required to take a recorded vote on this item. I propose taking all the recommendations together en bloc as a single vote. Agreed. Are you content?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Right. You're going to take the vote, then?
Well, I need to take a vote on that one, I'm afraid. Is that a named vote?
No, it's just a straightforward show of hands.
All those in favour?
Yay. Ah, no money for Ashington.
Skip. Right. Come after.
Oh, no, they don't.
Can I ask for quiet, please?
Yeah. I've got to start again, sorry. Can you keep your hands up? Thank you. One. Yeah. Those against?
Huh?
Those against?
Oh. Keep going.
Okay. Those in abstention?
That is carried.
The vote has been carried. So at this stage, from both sides, well, different sides of the chamber, there has been chatter and back and forth. I appreciate it's a budget meeting and there's lots of political passions in this room. We've got quite a complicated deal going through all of this voting. So if we could have a little bit of calm, that'd be very much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
Could we just... I realise you're saying it was carried, but I think most of us would like to know kind of what the score was.
37, 22, 3 abstentions.
Thank you.
Okay. So that was 7.3. I've done that, haven't I? No, I haven't done 7.
We're now on
7.4,
the consolidated budget.
Okay, I'm just getting there. Okay, I'll now take a recorded vote on the following items together and refer you to the consolidated recommendations before you. That's 7.4, budget 24 to 25 and medium-term financial plan 24 to 28, and update to the budget 24 to 25 and medium-term financial plan 24 to 28. Members, these two reports comprise the laying of the budget, and item 7.5 updates members about matters relating to the budget which have arisen since the report was presented to the All Scrutiny Members Corporate Services and Economic Growth Overview and Scrutiny Committee on 29th of January and Cabinet on the 13th of February. Recommendations from these two reports have been consolidated into one document which has been circulated to you all. We will take a recorded vote on the consolidated recommendations. I propose taking all these recommendations together on a block as a single vote if we're content for that. Are we content for that, yes. Chamber? Yes. Right, thank you. So we'll go over to the recorded vote and we'll pass over to Neil Masson.
Firstly, Councillor Ball.
Against.
Councillor Bourne. For. Councillor Bainan.
For.
Councillor Bowman.
Against.
Councillor Carr. For. Councillor Carty. Councillor Castle.
For.
Councillor Sesford.
For.
Councillor Chicken.
For.
Councillor Clark.
Against.
Councillor Dale.
For.
Councillor Daly.
For.
Councillor Darwin.
For.
Councillor Dickinson.
Against story time.
Councillor Dodd.
For.
Councillor Dunbar.
For.
Councillor Dunn.
Against.
Councillor Ezel-Shelvan.
For.
Councillor Fairless-Aiken. Councillor Ferguson.
For.
Councillor Flux.
For.
Councillor Gallagher.
Against.
Councillor Hardy.
For.
Councillor Horncastle.
For.
Councillor Humphrey.
For.
Councillor Hunter.
Abstain.
Councillor Hutchinson.
For.
Councillor Jackson.
For.
Councillor Jones.
For.
Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Lang. Councillor Lee. Councillor Mather.
For.
Councillor Morford. Councillor Nisbet. Councillor Oliver.
For.
Councillor Parry.
Yes.
Councillor Patterson. Councillor Pojai.
For.
Councillor Purvis.
Yes.
Councillor Reid.
Abstain.
Councillor Renner Thompson.
For.
Councillor Richardson. Councillor Riddle.
For.
Councillor Robinson.
For.
Councillor Sanderson.
For.
Councillor Scott. Councillor Seymour.
For.
Councillor Sharp. Councillor Simpson.
Against.
Councillor Stewart. Councillor Swinbank.
Abstain.
Councillor Swinburne.
For.
Councillor Taylor. Councillor Thorne.
For.
Councillor Towns.
For.
Councillor Waddell. Councillor Wallace.
Against.
Councillor Anna Watson.
Against.
Councillor Jeff Watson. For. Councillor Wearmouth.
For.
Councillor Wilczek.
Against.
Just council.
We just have 5 minutes to tally up the votes, please. 5 minutes is perhaps too long. We will be having that break fairly soon. Okay, can I have some order in the chamber, please? Order, please. The budget has been carried. It's 36 for, 21 against and 5 abstentions. Right. So there is still more technical voting to get through, I'm afraid. So 7.6, Revenue and Benefits Policy for 24-25. Members, we have 3 recommendations to consider for this report. We do not need to take a recorded vote on this item. I propose taking all the recommendations together en bloc as a single vote if you're content. Are you content on that? All those in... We'll now move to the vote on this item. The recommendations are on page 279 of your agenda. All those in favour?
Right, could you put your hands up high? Thank you. Some of us are old and frail, I apologise. Very good exercise. Good night, money. Sorry, I've got 41. Yeah.
All right. All those...
That's obviously carried.
That's 41's... Well, I'll carry all those against. Do we need to count them?
We'll count, yeah. Can you put your hand...
And all those in abstention? Don't, just the one?
Just the one abstention, okay.
Okay, that's been carried. That was, do you want to tell your vote?
It was 44, 20 against, 1 abstention.
Right, okay, and now I move on to 7.7, Council Tax 24-25. Members, we have 4 recommendations to consider for this report. We need to take a recorded vote on this item. I propose taking all the recommendations together en bloc as a single vote if we're all content. We're content on that? Thank you. This report needs... on the right page.
Again, just asking.
Yeah, I'll hand over to Neil, who's going to take the vote.
Take the vote.
Sure. Okay. Councillor Ball.
Against.
Councillor Bourne. For. Councillor Bainan.
For.
Councillor Bowman.
Against.
Councillor Carr.
For.
Councillor Carty. Councillor Castle.
For.
Councillor Sesford.
For.
Councillor Chicken.
For.
Councillor Clark.
Against.
Councillor Dale. Councillor Daly. Councillor Darwin. Councillor Dickinson.
Against.
Councillor Dodd. Councillor Dunbar. Councillor Dunn. Councillor Ezel-Shelvin.
For.
Councillor Fairless Aiken. Councillor Ferguson. Councillor Flux.
For.
Councillor Gallagher.
Against.
Councillor Hardy.
For.
Councillor Horncastle. Councillor Humphrey.
For.
Councillor Hunter. Councillor Hutchinson.
For.
Councillor Jackson. Councillor Jones.
For.
Councillor Kennedy. Councillor Lang. Councillor Lee.
Against.
Councillor Mather.
For.
Councillor Morfitt. Councillor Nisbet. Councillor Oliver. Councillor Parry. Councillor Patterson. Councillor Pojai. Councillor Purvis. Councillor Reid. Councillor Renner-Thompson. Councillor Richardson. Councillor Riddle. Councillor Robinson. Councillor Sanderson. Councillor Scott. Councillor Seymour.
For.
Councillor Sharp. Councillor Simpson.
Against.
Councillor Stewart. Councillor Swinbank. Councillor Swinburne.
For.
Councillor Taylor. Councillor Thorne. Councillor Towns. Councillor Waddell. Councillor Wallace.
Against.
Councillor Anna Watson. Councillor Jeff Watson. Councillor Wearmouth.
For.
Councillor Vilczek.
Against.
Just let us tot up the votes, please. Okay, thank you. The vote has been carried 36 for, 22 against and 4 abstentions. I shall now adjourn the meeting for a comfort break for 10 minutes. Members, please be back in the chamber by 16:05. Okay, thank you for your patience there in that last bit of the meeting. Now, I've had a request to move the final agenda item, which is number 12, up the agenda. Can I ask if we're happy to do that now as a chamber? I'll get loud and clear. Thank you. This being an urgent business matter of a strategic acquisition fund report, in order to safeguard the County Council's ability to take advantage of a unique commercial opportunity which has only recently arisen, I am of the opinion that this item should be considered at this meeting as a matter of urgency. I have exercised my powers to include this as an extraordinary urgent item. I'd like to invite Councillor Plojai, I beg your pardon, Councillor Sanderson, to present this report.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The report you've seen, the group leaders and I have had a full discussion about this. The recommendations are as you see them, and as we move forward, I will continue that dialogue with the group leaders. Have I got a second? Have I got a second there?
Proposed by Councillor Sanderson, seconded by Councillor Reid. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Chair. I propose that we just move straight with vote on this item.
Chair. Okay. Propose we move straight to the vote on that item. Right. All those in favour?
That's unanimous. I think that's carried. So. It's not unanimous, but it's carried.
That's been carried, but all those against? All those in abstention? That's been carried. Thank you very much. I will return back to the agenda.
I think you need to take the vote on it. You need to
beg pardon.
The substantive vote, if you might, Chair. Sorry.
Beg your pardon. I do need to take a substantive vote on that.
No, that's fine. Was that just to agree? That was just to agree to take it. Now it's a substantive.
Yeah. Right, it's now a substantive vote. So I'm now asking for the vote again, aren't I?
You are.
All
those in favour of the proposal.
All those in favour of the proposal.
Change my mind, Chair.
I think that's clearly
right,
carried.
Been carried.
That's clearly carried.
That's been carried. Do I need to do the other bits?
Yes, just ask for those.
All those against?
There's two against.
All those in abstention? Thank you.
One abstention, Councillor Joe.
Thank you.
Know anything about it.
Right. We move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Deputy Leader and Cabinet Member for Corporate Services report regarding corporate fraud policies 24 to 25, pages 309 to 322. I'd like to invite Councillor Wearmouth, the Deputy Leader and relevant portfolio holder for Corporate Services, to present this report.
Thank you, Chair. This is always the most exciting part of the budget debate, which is to adopt the corporate fraud policies for the forthcoming year. Can I just move straight to the recommendations, which is for the County Council to approve the anti-money laundering policy, the anti-fraud, bribery and corruption policy as attached in Appendix 1 and 2 of the report. And can I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Reid.
Proposed by Councillor Wearmouth, seconded by Councillor Reid. Do members wish to any questions or debate? No. So I move the recommendations as set out in the report, and we'll have the vote. All those in favour?
That's clearly carried.
Clearly carried. I think it might be unanimous, you know.
Looks unanimous to me.
Yeah. That's unanimous. Carry on. We move to item 9 on the agenda, which is a report of the Leader and Chair of the Staff and Appointments Committee relating to the pay policy statement of Northumberland County Council 24 and 25. See pages 323 to 340. I'd like to invite the Deputy Leader to present this report.
Thank you, Chair. As I was presiding over the Staff and Appointments Committee, you get the summary from me. So the Staff and Appointments Committee met, considered this and thought that it was appropriate to pass this on to Council with the request that you approve the recommendations from the Staff and Appointments Committee held on the 8th of February 2024 and adopt the amended pay policy statement for the forthcoming year as can be seen in Appendix 1 of this one. And maybe just a short commentary. When we've had this document before, it's been, I think, tracked changes right the way through, so you can see the difference. There is a table there in that document that shows you where those changes have been made. And the only reason that we haven't done the track changes is because there were so many changes that you wouldn't have been able to read it properly. And so take it that everyone's had a chance to look at it thoroughly. If anyone's got any questions, we can try and answer those obviously now. But otherwise, happy to move the recommendations.
Right, see, it's been seconded by proposed by Councillor Wearmouth, seconded by Councillor Watson. Do we have any questions on that? Any debate? Okay, move to the vote. All those in favour?
Again, carried.
That's carried. I think pretty sure that's unanimous as well.
Yes.
Thank you. We move swiftly on to item 10 on the agenda, which is the annual portfolio report for the Cabinet Member for Public Health and Wellbeing. I'd like to invite Councillor Jones to present the report.
Thank you. As a portfolio holder for improving public health and wellbeing, I'm here this afternoon to present the report. As you can see, the report's a long one, and it covers all the aspects of public health, Northumberland Communities Together, and our relationship with the voluntary sector. I'm proud to present this here because there's many achievements of the work that's been taking place in the last 12 months. And I'd like to thank Councillor Pattison and Councillor Ferguson, who were part of that work before I was here. I won't be commenting on all the reports in my speech, you'll be pleased to hear, but I'll just pick out a couple of things that are quite important. And I'm going to say as well, it's a really full report, and there'll be some detailed questions, so if you've got any specific or detailed ones, perhaps we could have a conversation out of the council. It's been a long day, and I'm happy to meet later and have a chat and go through it, so we can give any questions justice. So, in this last 12 months, we saw Liz Morgan retire as the Director of Public Health and Jill O'Neill be appointed. And this change has been pretty good, seamless for staff and for partners. But importantly is the fact that the Statutory Director of Public Health is now also at the executive table for Northumberland Communities Together and with broader responsibilities. And I think that just shows how seriously we take the public's health and well-being. The last 12 months has seen us progress on tackling inequalities with our communities and our partners, so the NHS, the police, fire and the voluntary sector. We've worked hard to create a common understanding of tackling inequalities, and whilst poverty and hardship is at the forefront of our minds, we have considered our geographical diversity as well in all the work we do. How we spend the public health grant is critical, and in Northumberland we've had a stable and well-managed budget that is analysed annually to make sure that it's value for money. The statutory requirements of the grant are met through well-maintained and high-quality commission services. An example, our sexual health and our drugs and alcohol policies get really good client feedback, and our Healthy Child programme is well delivered within the family hubs across the county. Through Northumberland Communities Together, we make sure that our more vulnerable residents who are eligible for discretionary payments and support are able to access what they need in a really respectful way. There's positive feedback too about the community development work of our NCT locality coordinators. And Councillor Mather referred to the visit to Wooler in December with the Inequalities Working Group, and it was a great example of the work of the voluntary sector together with NCT and the faith community all coming together, and they were all united in what they thought were what they wanted for the benefits of the residents for Wooler. And we are working towards being an enabling authority, and I think this was a really good example of how it went, how it works. So thank you, Councillor Mather, you were there. It was good. We're seeing our smoking rates go down and our breastfeeding rates go up, and these are key achievements, so based on the strong delivery we have. And on the breastfeeding, we're just now looking towards encouraging organisations throughout the county, like cafes, to encourage breastfeeding. We've got a robust training programme to make sure that the message for health and wellbeing messages are delivered to all our people. So, you know, library staff and housing. So the same message is given out on equalities inequalities at every stage. Making every contact count is a core way for us to take our responsibilities forward. Education, skills, employment, housing and the environment are parts of the building blocks to create a good life. Through the Health and Wellbeing Board, and Councillor Ezra Shelvin is part of this, all of these issues are now being discussed in relation to tackling inequalities. The read across from our corporate plan is strong, particularly in terms of the other things we're doing, you know, like healthy neighbourhoods. We're getting there with the things that we want from our corporate plan. You know, tackling inequalities is hard. I'm not going to say it's not, and it's overwhelming, but it needs us all to work together across the political parties. So we've got our priorities in place to take us forward, so I'm confident they are going to progress. And the thing I'm looking forward to in 2020 is we now have asked officers to progress with the development of a county partnership. This will bring other organisations together at the highest level to make strategy and policy changes within Northumberland to create those building blocks for a good life. I'm going to finish there. I'm happy to take questions, but I will remind you there's a lot in the report, and it's an open invitation to follow anything you want to ask about. Thank you. I'm going to sit down for questions, if that's all right.
Okay. I can see Councillor Dickinson is indicating for a question.
Just a quick comment. Thank you, Councillor Jones, for that. It just revolves around the comments I made last time about oral health and dentistry being a big issue, not only in Northumberland, in other places, but all the health conditions that come from that. And I noticed in your report, Councillor Jones, that you talk about oral health strategy. I'm conscious that that's probably going to go through quite a narrow forum in the council, and I wondered if there was some way we could widen it so more members could participate, especially those of us who have lost dental surgeries and things like that, on how we can adapt or support the services to adapt to serve the needs of Northumberland residents. Thanks.
Yes,
do you want to answer that now, or do we have many other questions? I see Councillor Ball's got a. Okay, I'll take. We'll go. Should we want to take all four of them?
I'd rather take them as we go along,
well,
but I don't mind.
That's the preferred. So I'll go
just to say,
I
generally don't see why not. Oral health has been discussed at the Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny, and it comes into, you know, oral health is important for so many things, like nutrition. So, you know, as well as the adult services, it's an important thing there that, you know, we need to be able to do that. We've got the fluoridation coming, which is now a national programme. So I think, yes, I'm quite happy to take that. We could take that further in discussion.
Councillor Ball.
Thank you, Chair. So I just want to say thank you for the report. It's really comprehensive on all the stuff that's happening. I do have concerns about our contact as a crisis point. So, and I would like to see us get upstream. So we have fantastic services, as you say, communities together are working hard. Unfortunately, we don't have enough people out and about to tackle all the problems, to tackle inequalities, but we do need to get upstream and put more money in people's pockets. And I just think I want to see more cross-party working on this, tackling these problems, with it being dental, actually getting access to doctors. We're having more concerns raised about people being able to make an appointment, because simply the inequalities that some people just haven't got, whether it be high-speed broadband in rural communities, being able to get in touch with your doctor that way. So I think we do have a number of issues to be able to tackle things. Fantastic report, and kudos to the whole team that are working really, really hard to deliver for the people of Northumberland. But I would like to see if we can if there's anybody out there listening, can we have some more money for this, because it is so important. Thank you.
I think I'll just say thank you for that. Again, and things like the doctor's appointments, the Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny are looking into it. It does all come together. We do have a cross-party working group, which I'm very grateful for, and we get a lot of input there. You're not a member of it, are you? Perhaps you can talk we can talk about how that. We do get a lot of input there, and I think it's really important that we do work together. It's no use us saying we're going to work with organisations in other parts of the county if we're not working together within the county, within the council. Yeah.
Got Councillor Dodd.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be extremely brief. I need to, as Chairman of the Health Scrutiny, we had an extremely useful working group on defibrillators. And I said I'll be brief. Chaired by Kath, Les was there, who else was there? Isabel, Margaret was there. And we all came away from that meeting saying this is one of the best, most interesting meetings we've ever had at Northumberland County Council. I'm looking in this document and I don't know where someone like this subject would go. I wouldn't say it's a can or a bag of worms that we've picked up, but there are some things that are not quite right. We had a great lad from the North East Ambulance Service there, but there's a lot of work to be done on whether defibrillators are registered, work, or whatever. So that's coming down the line. I'll have the conversation where it comes, but we had an excellent meeting and I needed to blow the trumpet for Kath.
Councillor Jones.
I'll just say thank you for that, and yes, let's have that conversation with officers and see where we can take it.
Councillor Isabel Hunter.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I welcome this report and the work that Communities Together does, but I think it's how we can continually drip feed what they do and where their point of contact is, because yes, there will be a lot of people that will come forward when they need, but it's those people that do need and try to suffer in silence and try to manage. Listening to the radio on the way down this morning, the Citizens' Advice was saying there's that many families now in the red every month, and it's going to get worse for a while to come because we've got mortgages that are coming up to be renewed, so they're going to, where they've been on the good rates, they're going to be hit at the minute. So I think it's how we can make sure we can signpost people to the right place, but we have got some good officers in place.
So one of the things I wanted to say is we have put more money into the CAB from the council, so supporting that now and that. We've got Thriving Together, which is supporting, that's a commission to support the voluntary sector, so they've got more ability to reach out. We've just done a commission with somebody called, with a company or an organisation called Mobilise. You may have seen it if you're on Facebook. It keeps popping up on different people's Facebook pages, and it's reaching out for carers and mainly picking up unknown carers, people who are not registered, who didn't even think of themselves as being carers, and they've been really helping financially. So they're averaging at the moment 80 attendance allowance applications a month. Well, you know, an attendance allowance will bring in sort of £3,500 to £5,000 a year. So that's really helping. Yeah, they're helping. They've helped over, since December, they've helped over 5,000 people. So it's really going well, that. And then there's the Frontline, which is the sort of the web-based, I suppose you could just call it a web-based directory, so that we can encouraging more people to be able to access that. So your point about not knowing where to go, we've got Northumberland Communities Together. That's our number, you know, that's there. And one call if people know it's social care. But this Frontline is also helping with that as well, because it's linking to all the other organisations that are able to help people. Yeah.
I've got Councillor Dale next, please.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. Just say thank you for the very valued report. I think it's quite interesting that Councillor Dodd brought up about defibrillators. We've got a lot in our area, and we've had a lot for a long time, but they have to be used carefully, and people have to understand all about the use of defibrillators. It's an important issue. Can I just say, to add value, we had the consultation for the budget has got quite a bit of response on public health. And I just wondered whether the Overview and Scrutiny Committee could have a look at some of them, because they're always a gem somewhere. So if you would look at the responses from the public, would you make use of a valued consultation?
Councillor Dale, I'm happy to, and I think you're right about there's always a gem somewhere. You know, I don't think we ever go away from anywhere, a visit or a meeting, without that, coming away with that, that's a good idea. So, yes, thank you.
Councillor Paul Esel-Shelvin.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add Councillor Jones's response. In the health and well-being, where we discuss all kinds of issues, we always seek to be multi-party. In fact, Councillor Ball was the member lead in revising our theme strategy for communities, if I remember correctly, which is close to her heart. And also, if going back to Councillor Dickinson, if any member is interested in particular issue like dentistry, pharmacy, 0 to 9, please let me know or Director O'Neill to know. So we will, when we discuss that topic, we will definitely be inviting them. Thank you.
Councillor Lesbo.
Thank you, Chair. My speech might not be so good today because I had a tooth taken out this morning. So it brings to mind about the dentistry service that we have. And unfortunately, the way I view it, it's been privatised by the back door. We've looked at this subject and it's apparently dentists are not prepared to put up with poor payments from the government. And I would employ anybody to go to the government and say to them, this needs to be put right. Our communities are suffering. And not only are they suffering, they're actually having to pay for private service as well. So it's a shame that we live in this society now where we see how dentists, NHS dentists going private. It's an absolute shame. And you know, they don't want to. This is because they're not getting the funding from the government to do this. And I want to just make it aware to all members here how bad it really is. So if you want an NH dentist to provide a fantastic service for you, I'm sorry, you're going to be finding it very difficult unless somebody in Whitehall does something about it. So, and we do a fantastic work on this committee. We look into all sorts of things. And our main concern is always the residents of Northumberland. And at the moment, the dentistry service isn't providing that service from the NHS as it should. There are pockets within Northumberland where you
Councillor
can't
Bowman, can I ask, can it get to a question,
I'll finish,
please?
Chair. There are pockets in Northumberland where you can't get an NHS dentist as much as you try. Can I make that plea that somebody speaks to somebody in Parliament, within the government, to change things here in Northumberland? It's got to stop. And the sooner it does, the better.
Councillor Jones.
I'm just going to say thank you, Councillor Bowman, as always, an issue that was really for the government, not for the council, but we do our best. I think again, we've just discussed dentistry and oral health, and it's back to the scrutiny committee. The work's being done as best we can. Yeah.
Right, I think that's the end of questions there. I'm just going to say also it's 4:32 and I have to extend past 5 o'clock if I don't get this next item done. So it's the last item on the agenda and I think we can get it done in that time. So we go to item 11 on the agenda, which is report of the Cabinet Member for promoting healthy lives, and that's Councillor Jeff Watson. Over to you.
Follow that, as I say. Welcome. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you had a good chance to read this report, because it's a very, very comprehensive report and says virtually everything that I wanted to say. I'm sure you'll be pleased to know. But there's just one or two points I think I should really make. One of them is that libraries, for example, I made a promise a year ago that unlike any other councils virtually throughout the country, we would not close any libraries. And in fact, we've opened one in this past year. So we've managed to do that. I also want to point out in our archives department, they had 3,000 exhibitions or events throughout the year, which 39,000 people attended. They say the proof's in the pudding if you're doing something right. With figures like that, I think you'll agree our libraries and our archives are doing very, very well. I'm going to move on quickly to leisure. Now, as you know, we've undergone some big changes and things this past year. I'm the first person to say thank you to Active for the 9 years that they worked for us and the things they did in our leisure centres, because the figures are extraordinary. Yes, we've spent an extraordinary amount of money as well, but for example, in the figures of the latest leisure centres in Morpeth, Berwick and Ponteland, our average usage is up by 28%. We have got the highest percentage of physically active people in Northumberland anywhere in the North East. We have 70% of our people are physically active. The North East is 65%, and the national average is 67%. So I think we must be doing something right there as well. Quickly moving on, our visitor economy, I think it gives us challenges, but it also gives us revenue and it gives us our jobs. And that has done from strength to strength as well. My portfolio is very broad, and as you can see, I'm just picking up 1 or 2 points from each one. But probably the last thing I would say is our sports development. Absolutely amazing what's happened here with play zones. If you read the report, you'll see throughout Northumberland, we're spending £5 million of coming to do play zones across the whole county, right way, right, left and centre. And it's brilliant. So I am a very pleased and very proud portfolio holder. I want to personally thank Jill for her work with me over the past year, and all the rest of our people in our libraries, in our leisure centres, in our sports developments, in our archives. You often say, everybody can't be great, and I'm sure there are 1 or 2 people who are not, but the majority of our people are so committed and they're so loyal that it's really a pleasure to work with them. And I hope if you'd like any questions, you can ask them if you want to, and if I can't answer them, I'll get the answer for you, but hopefully I will be able to answer them.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Quite a few to start with, so I'm going to go Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. Just very quickly, Jeff, and I want to ask about the innovative solutions to Bedlington Library that's being considered, and I'll take a written response for the sake of brevity.
Sorry, say that again, you haven't, but I didn't get to ask.
I want to ask about what are the innovative solutions that's been mentioned for Bedlington Library.
Yeah.
I was told to ask you.
Wow. I mean, you're not aware of what's going on there, because we've got this.
You tell me.
We've got the hire the bikes things. We've got all sorts of things going on in Bedlington. Bedlington Library is one of the most active libraries that we've got.
Well, tell me the innovative solutions you're going to come up with, because not a month ago that was mentioned, wasn't it, Deputy Leader?
You've got the better of me. I don't recall.
I'm staggered because Bedlington is a really good library. We've got bike hires.
Well, for the sake of brevity, I'll take a written response. But that actually upset a lot of people in Bedlington when that was mentioned.
Okay, I think that's being taken offline, I think. So the next one is Councillor Hunter.
Page 363, Barclays mentioned, just more to highlight for members, the Barclays branch was very closed last week, and everybody was talking to the post office. If you're banking cash at the post office, you must have a debit card. So parish councils and village halls, etc., cannot bank cash at the post office because they can't have a debit card. So it's maybe something that higher up that we can raise with government and Barclays, if somebody would pick that up for me, please.
We have in several places already got banking coming into the leisure centres. I think we've got them at Haltwhistle, we've got them at Morpeth. Have we got anywhere else that I can think of? It's coming anyway. I think it's coming more and more and more, and we'll take that point up for you, Isabel.
Councillor Vilczek.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Watson, for your positive report. However, there's over 16,000 people that live in Bedlington, and they are not mentioned. Bedlington's not included once in this report. So my question simply is, when can we expect Bedlington to be considered for an appropriate leisure facility?
Okay, good question. I mean, there are several places which aren't mentioned in the report, so they were just mentioning the highlights. Bedlington is something that's been considered by this council for some time. I think we have made some pledges to do things, but I don't think we've actually managed to get to a point where it's been agreed yet. So anyway, we'll take this up afterwards and see what we can do.
Councillor Ball.
Thanks, Chair. First off, I want to say a massive thank you to the staff within our library service who they're delivering all sorts in there, from Lego clubs to helping and support people and signposting and all sorts. They're doing fantastic work, but they are a small team and they're travelling from site to site as well. So I just want a commitment from this council that we do not push these staff too far or that we lose subject specialists, because it's great that we're delivering best value and we are like upskilling our staff to be able to help and deliver and signpost. But actually, let's not stretch them too far, because I know like people want a bigger slice of cake and that bigger slice of support. And if they're running a Lego club, do they have time to also be able to refer somebody that's a crisis point? So just, can I get a commitment that we don't just push our staff a bit too far, is that they're pushed from every other site, from pillar to post as well, and that we protect them, because they are doing fantastic work and our library service is doing brilliant. Thank you.
I'm going to answer this. I might get it wrong from my lady afterwards, because actually I agree with you. Totally agree with you, and I know that the officers do as well. We are stretched. There's no doubt about it. I'm sure one or two of you have seen where we've had some sickness and we've had to close the library. It is very difficult, because whereas we're not cutting, we are almost, all of us are looking at efficiencies. We're looking at value for money. But I will fight tooth and nail not to lose anything we've currently got. And I think what we've got over the past year is actually an improved offer. And I think you've highlighted some of the things that we are doing. But I do take on board what you said. I promise you I will look at it. Thank you.
Any further questions? Are we done there? We're done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
And with that, I close the meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you.